Pocho One. We are in the building with a legendary guest, DJ EFN, co-host of Drink Champs. Thank you, my boy, for stopping by.
No, my pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I don't know. We don't got too much time, so I just want to get into it, my boy. So instead of getting into all that, I want to get into, a little context. I was on the radio. I had the most popular show basically in my area. I couldn't be myself. And so because of that, I left the radio station. And it wasn't necessarily, like, we're still on good terms. And it wasn't necessarily that they did anything wrong to me, but I just couldn't be myself. And basically I left, and then I created my own lane. And I was sitting around kind of feeling bad for myself. And because I was like, I made it kind of, I had a show, I was getting paid.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
And Plaza, there's not that much, space for Plaza and hip hop and all that. And so I was feeling sorry for myself, bro. And I'm sitting at the home watching YouTube, you know what I mean? And boom, Drink Champs pops up. And I've been watching you guys since day one with when you guys were in the hotel, with what's his face with Fat Joe.
That was in my old office, and it was an apartment building in downtown Miami. And I was doing a show for Dash Radio already. And so that's where we did the first couple of episodes.
Yeah, man. And anyway, so it just inspired me, and I still didn't do nothing yet. But then I started, and people were like, why don't you change your name? Because it's on my Instagram, it's the Pocho Live Show. And that was my radio name because we go live. But then I was like, well, the Pocho Live Show, I can go live and get to know people. So I started doing that, and I built a platform pretty much, in the pandemic, basically. Like out of nowhere, I wasn't even planning to. And I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for what you have done, because seeing you as Raza, and I know Nori's half Raza and all that, but seeing it looks like we look, like you could be like my cousin or my uncle or whatever. And so like to see you in that high of a space was so inspiring to, and it sounds cheesy, but I was like, if that vato can do it, beard gang, I can do it too.
100%, brother. Yeah, man. No, thank you, man. And that's all I could hope to do is, man, if I could inspire anybody, man, that's the goal.
Yeah. So first off, I'm somebody that produces too and kind of catches talent. So what did you see in Nori to bring him down to Miami?
Well, no, I mean, that's it. He came down to Miami kind of on his own. I mean, it's a long story with us, because it starts off when he's on his promo run for the Capone Noriega album in like late '97. I had a store. I was a mixtape DJ. And he came into town, and the way that it worked back then, the promo runs, they would bring you to any of the hip hop stores or the music stores to promote if you were doing a party or a concert. So he came by, and I was also the mixtape dude. So he had to it's like the radio out here wasn't really playing hip hop. So a lot of these artists were messing with the mixtape guys or the underground radio guys, which I was both. And that's how we linked. And we did a lot of stuff in terms of my crew and me were like his dudes in Miami repping for his team and his crew. We just clicked, man. It was we were family. And eventually he decided he wanted to leave New York, and he was going to move to Miami after his reggaeton album. And he moved to Miami, and he moved into the area where I'm from, which is in South Miami, an area called Kendall. And I was like, look, bro, like he had just finished doing reggaeton. He knew that I wasn't really into reggaeton like that. I was just a diehard hip hop head. And he's like, yo, E, bring me back to hip hop. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically kind of what he said. And I had him in my studio 24/7. And that was like kind of like the birth of everything in terms of like Drink Champs was born around that same time. The name, we started doing Sirius XM radio around that time, which was not Drink Champs. But at the same time, the name Drink Champs was a thing that was being said in my offices, in my studio with my crew. And so like it all just starts from there, And that's like 2005, 6, around there.
Yeah, man. And I just think that, like, how do you feel about the space, the podcast space, as opposed to the radio space? Because I feel like what you all did was you made me feel like I was right there with you, bro. Like, Nori is a bigger than life kind of character. And I actually, I'm a professional photographer. I actually been around him before. But, I'm the type not to get in, I just do my thing and fly on the wall. And so, it's like you feel like you're in there. You're right there next to each other having a conversation. Do you feel like podcast is basically the future? And do you feel like there's any more space for radio?
I mean, I think it's all meshing together. It's all kind of becoming digital content, for lack of a better term. And like for me personally, I was, I was an underground dude, a mixtape dude, pirate radio dude. I never saw myself. Yeah, it would have been cool to get like a radio show and do mix show when I was younger. But as soon as I figured out that, you had to answer the PDs and MDs and they programmed, you know, you had to play what they told you, and you
Yeah,
couldn't
bro.
really break records, and you couldn't put on local acts. I was like, nah, it ain't for me, man. Like, I was just too rebellious, and I like doing my own thing, and that's what mixtapes was perfect for me. So radio just wasn't for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't like a corporate structure, especially when it moved on, and then these corporations started buying up all the stations around the country and kind of making them like this one monolithic thing where like each region couldn't even sound like itself anymore, you
Yeah,
know?
no,
So
I
yeah, I think in that sense,
have
podcasting is what's sorry. In that sense, podcasting is dope because you could do whatever you want in podcasting, however you want, whenever you want, however long, however short. And that's what's dope about it, you know?
yeah, no, for sure. And how do you like? Are you aware of the space that you're holding, like as a Latino man? There's a gang of us, homie, that are looking at right at you, homie.
Oh,
Like,
that's dope. I mean, I don't. I mean, what's the words I want to use, man? Like, I respect what I represent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna abuse it, or I'm careful with it because I know what I represent. But I don't try to really look at myself like, oh, I represent this big old thing to a bunch of people, because then it kind of undermines me. And at the same token, man, it doesn't do me any justice, man. I'm like, let me just do what I do, and if people fuck with me, they fuck with me. If they don't fuck with me, they don't fuck with me. But I'm gonna be me through in and throughout, like no matter what. You know what I'm saying? People, when I was early on, you're too Latino. You know, you're not enough Latino. You're this. You're not repping all Latinos. It's like, yo, bro, I'm gonna do me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm a rep. Like, I'm repping no matter what.
yeah, I mean, I think they can put you in a box, but they can't though, right? Because if you're doing what you're doing, it can't be held in. But it's just like to see. I just thought it, like I've been in the west, at least the west side or the west coast music scene for as a professional photographer working for radio stations, as a career for over 12 years now. And I don't know, bro. I feel like Raza doesn't get taken as serious when it comes to the rap game. I don't know if you see
It's
that,
true.
or
No, no, no.
it's harder for us.
Absolutely, man. It is, and it's something that I've always, pushed and fought for, and try to, showcase and acknowledge the pioneers that represented. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, no one can tell me about Latinos and their position and what we've contributed, and how we are part of the birth of the culture, you know. There's no debating it. I mean, it's documented, like you see it. So, and then what we've done since and what we're doing now, which is evolutionizing the music, and doing even more, I think, inadvertently to hip hop, for hip hop, you know what I'm saying? For hip hop artists.
Yeah, I mean, I think now we're starting to, because like basically what I got inspired by is by a couple people, but I was like Adam 22 and those guys were cool, and no disrespect to them, but they're not really checking for Raza that much, and it's not their
Right.
fault. It's not really their place to. I don't, so instead of complaining about them, I created a platform where I'm usually interviewing. Most of the people I interview is their first interview ever. I call it the Trapcast, the Pocho
Right.
Live Show, but the Trapcast, because I'm trapping these interviews, with guys that never been interviewed, that are coming right off the street.
Dope.
But I want to give them a platform because I used to gangbang. I'm a norteño, and so I had a big experience where Sereno saved my life, and that made
Wow.
me, yeah. And I lived with them. I worked at the place called Homeboy Industries, and I was the photographer for a bunch of Southsiders, and I'm a northerner, bro, from Northern Cali.
Yeah.
But I came in as a professional, and they got me sober, and they inspired me, And so what I want to do is be like not big homie you, but be
Right.
big homie I always needed, and I should have been for my, because I brought a lot, because I used to like be able to get girls and all these things. So I brought a lot of homies into my gang, and then I moved to LA and like started a new life. And so I
Right.
wanted to come back. Now I'm back in my hometown, helping my community, and I created this platform that I have now because I want to talk to kind of like G's, OGs, kind of not. I mean, I hate to OG it, but like fools that got Klecha, got game for the next
Right.
generation, and then the youngsters. When you interview a young man, bro, and you're saying you matter, you matter, and I want to
Right.
know about you, and I see you, and so I want to keep seeing these youngsters, bro, and the more we have people like you at levels that you're at with the blue check and with your friends, the friends you guys have, the more we can, slowly climb that ladder, with you. And I appreciate you again for even taking this interview.
No, no, and I commend you, man, because what you're saying is extremely important. We've talked about it in terms of when it comes to the rap game and hip hop, and where I feel like, the OGs, we didn't take that role. Like I say, like we, as in terms of my generation, and in the music side of things, like we thought we were gonna be YGs forever. You know what I'm saying? So we stopped you know, looking at ourselves as someone that might have to pass on this knowledge or be an example to a future generation. And I think that's important, man. And just a little bit you told me is amazing. And I think that you should be commended as well, man.
No, I appreciate it. But nah, so what I got pumped of it was when Nori was saying, you know, he's like, there's interviews for the youngers and all that, right? But we need to interview the OGs. And like I feel like you guys singly, like in the last couple of years, saved hip hop in the sense of all what I grew up on. I'm 38, right? So I grew
Right.
up in the 90s, bro. I'm a little bit younger, but I was hanging out with older people. So
Right, right,
I was
right.
listening. I mean, I'm from the West Coast. We did have a West Coast kind of vibe. I didn't listen to too much, but I knew who Nori was totally, you know what I mean? And then just how you guys kick it, you know, like that familia vibe that you have. Like, I think we need to see more images of that, of black and brown people, and even the mix of raza that can
All
be
over.
black,
Yeah. We got
can be all of
Dominicans, Peruvians, we got Haitians, we got Jamaican, Colombians. No, it's that's what I love, man. I've always loved that, man. And I think, yeah, you're right, man. That's what makes us special.
Yeah, man, and I think it's also because a lot of them also are people that you know Nori knew for a long time. Like I have close friends that I've known before we started gangbanging, like when we were 4 years old, and then we gangbanged, and then now we have families and stuff,
Right.
and they're still my friends. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, I'm just trying to put on. How do you deal with kind of any kind of negative energy? Kind of, I know that people in the beginning were not, you know, necessarily like, what are you talking, you know, and but you guys
Right.
kept going, and look at you guys, you know, now it's bigger than ever, right?
I mean, me talking for myself, you know, when I was younger, I was a hardhead, you know, and I mean, just the name of my crew, Crazy Hood, and Who's Crazy was our slogan. Like, you know, we were like hardheads trying to like make a name for ourselves, macho shit, you know. But as time went on, man, I tried to shed all of that because it just doesn't get you anywhere in the long run. And I just don't pay attention to negative shit. You know, as long as I can, if I got something to do with it, if I could just turn away from it, or if it's some crap online, like also the generation that we're from, I try to remember, like, yo, I'm from a generation where if you got beef, you deal with it in the street, like you deal in person. You don't do it online. Like that's just that doesn't happen.